Narcissistic personality disorder casts a long shadow over interpersonal relationships. Characterized by a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, a relentless need for admiration, a profound lack of empathy, and often deeply troubled connections with others. While the outward presentation might involve an air of confidence and superiority, beneath this carefully constructed facade often lies a fragile ego, acutely sensitive to criticism and driven by a desperate need for validation. To safeguard this vulnerable inner self and maintain a position of perceived dominance, individuals exhibiting narcissistic traits frequently resort to an intricate web of manipulative tactics designed to control and subjugate those around them. Recognizing these insidious maneuvers is not merely an exercise in understanding personality dynamics. It is a crucial act of self-preservation, the first and most significant step towards dismantling the power they wield and reclaiming one's own autonomy, emotional well-being, and sense of reality. This extensive exploration will delve deeply into three particularly potent and commonly employed control mechanisms used by narcissists: the insidious erosion of reality through gaslighting, the strategic manipulation of relational dynamics via triangulation, and the coercive leveraging of emotions through emotional blackmail. By meticulously dissecting these tactics, we aim to empower individuals to identify these patterns, understand their devastating impact, and ultimately develop strategies to resist their influence and forge a path towards healthier, more equitable relationships. The whispers of doubt. Unraveling the deceptive art of gaslighting. Gaslighting stands as one of the most psychologically corrosive and subtly destructive tools in a narcissist's arsenal of control. It is a gradual, insidious form of manipulation that systematically erodes a victim's sense of reality, memory, and ultimately their sanity. Like a slow leak, the impact is often imperceptible in its initial stages, but over time, it can leave the victim adrift in a sea of self-doubt, questioning their own perceptions and judgment, and becoming increasingly reliant on the narcissist's distorted version of events. The term itself originates from the 1938 play and subsequent films titled Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is going insane by dimming the gaslights in their home, and then denying that any change has occurred. This theatrical depiction serves as a potent metaphor for the psychological manipulation at play. Narcissists employ a multifaceted approach to gaslighting, weaving a complex tapestry of denial, trivialization, contradiction, and outright lies. They might flatly deny events that demonstrably occurred, even when confronted with irrefutable evidence. That never happened. They will assert with unwavering conviction, leaving the victim bewildered and questioning the reliability of their own memory. They frequently minimize or dismiss the victim's feelings and experiences, labeling them as overreactions, being too sensitive, or making a big deal out of nothing. This invalidation chips away at the victim's emotional confidence, making them feel foolish or irrational for having genuine feelings. Contradictions become commonplace, with the narcissist presenting conflicting accounts of the same event, shifting narratives to suit their current agenda, and further confusing the victim. A classic example might involve the narcissist showering their partner with affection in public, but then being cold and dismissive in private, leading the partner to question their own perception of the relationship's true nature. In more extreme cases, narcissists might fabricate events entirely, creating false narratives to confuse and disorient their victims. They might move objects and then deny having done so, or accuse the victim of saying or doing things they never did. The cumulative effect of these subtle yet persistent manipulations is a profound erosion of the victim's self-trust and their ability to discern reality. They begin to second-guess their own instincts, their memories, and their sanity, making them increasingly dependent on the narcissist's skewed perspective and thus to more easily controlled. To break free from the suffocating grip of gaslighting, the first and most crucial step is cultivating awareness. Recognize the insidious patterns of denial, trivialization, and contradiction that characterize this form of manipulation. Pay close attention to your gut feelings and internal compass. If something feels wrong or inconsistent, trust that intuition, even if the narcissist tries to convince you otherwise. Documenting events can serve as a powerful antidote to gaslighting. Keeping a journal, saving emails or messages, or even confiding in a trusted friend or family member about specific interactions can provide an objective record against which to compare the narcissist's distorted accounts. When confronted with blatant lies or manipulations, calmly and assertively state your truth without engaging in lengthy arguments or trying to convince the narcissist. Remember, their goal is to wear you down and make you doubt yourself. By standing firm in your own reality, you dismantle their manipulative power. Seeking external validation from trusted individuals who can offer an objective perspective is also paramount. Talking to friends, family, or a therapist can provide a crucial anchor in reality and help you resist the narcissist's attempts to rewrite your experiences. Ultimately, recognizing that your feelings and perceptions are valid, regardless of the narcissist's attempts to undermine them, is the key to reclaiming your sense of self and breaking free from the gaslighting cycle, the tangled web. Navigating the manipulative dynamics of triangulation. Triangulation represents another potent control tactic frequently employed by narcissists to manipulate relational dynamics and maintain a position of power. This strategy involves the strategic introduction of a third party into a two-person relationship to create jealousy, insecurity, competition, or to validate the narcissist's desired narrative. The third party can take various forms, including an ex-partner, a current or potential romantic interest, a family member, a friend, or even a complete stranger invoked through anecdotes or comparisons. The narcissist skillfully positions this third person to serve their manipulative agenda, often without the third party even being aware of their role in the dynamic. The motivations behind triangulation are multifaceted. Firstly, it can serve to inflate the narcissist's fragile ego by making them feel desired or sought after by multiple individuals. The perceived competition for their attention can fuel their sense of self-importance and superiority. Secondly, it can be used to create division and conflict between the targeted individuals. By introducing a third party, the narcissist can sow seeds of doubt, jealousy, and resentment, diverting attention away from their own manipulative behaviors and keeping the focus on the perceived threat of the other person. This dynamic allows the narcissist to remain in control of the emotional landscape and the narrative of the relationship. Thirdly, triangulation can function as a form of emotional blackmail, subtly or overtly suggesting that the victim is easily replaceable or not good enough. The implication is that if the victim doesn't comply with the narcissist's demands, they risk losing them to the perceived superior qualities of the third party. Consider the example of a narcissistic partner who constantly praises the supposed virtues of their ex-partner, highlighting their understanding, supportiveness, or attractiveness in comparison to their current partner. This tactic is designed to make the current partner feel inadequate, insecure, and constantly striving for the narcissist's approval. Similarly, a narcissistic parent might pit siblings against each other, creating alliances and rivalries by favoring one child over the other, or by sharing different versions of events with each child. This fosters competition for the parent's attention and affection, ensuring the parent remains at the center of the family dynamic and in control of the relationships between the siblings. In social settings, a narcissist might openly flirt with others to provoke jealousy in their partner, or subtly suggest that other people find them more interesting or attractive. The introduction of this third party creates a power imbalance, with the narcissist often positioning themselves as the desired or superior one, leaving the targeted individual feeling insecure, anxious, and desperately seeking their validation. To dismantle the manipulative power of triangulation, it is crucial to refuse to participate in the game. Recognize when a third party is being strategically introduced to manipulate your emotions or the dynamics of the relationship. Resist the urge to engage in comparisons or feel the need to compete for the narcissist's attention. Focus on cultivating your own sense of worth and self-esteem, independent of the narcissist's validation or the perceived allure of the third party. Establish clear boundaries and refuse to be drawn into conversations that involve negative comparisons or the glorification of others at your expense. In romantic relationships, openly communicate your discomfort with the triangulation and assert your need for a relationship built on direct communication and mutual respect. If the behavior persists despite your efforts, it may be a significant indicator of a fundamentally unhealthy dynamic. In family situations, attempt to establish healthy boundaries with the narcissistic family member and refuse to engage in the drama they create by pitting family members against each other. Building strong, independent relationships outside of the narcissistic dynamic can provide a crucial support system and offer a healthy perspective, helping you resist the manipulative tactics of triangulation. Ultimately, recognizing that your value is inherent and not dependent on the narcissist's comparisons or the perceived threat of a third party is key to breaking free from this manipulative web. The chains of emotion. Resisting the coercive power of emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail represents a particularly insidious form of control where narcissists exploit the vulnerabilities and emotional sensitivities of their victims to manipulate them into fulfilling their desires. This tactic hinges on leveraging the victim's fears, guilt, compassion, or desire for approval to coerce them into compliance. The narcissist creates a climate of obligation or threat, making the victim feel responsible for their emotions or fearful of the negative consequences that will ensue if they fail to meet the narcissist's demands. This manipulative strategy effectively weaponizes the victim's own emotional landscape against them, creating a sense of being trapped and obligated. Emotional blackmail can manifest in a variety of ways, often tailored to the specific vulnerabilities of the individual. A narcissist might threaten self-harm or express suicidal ideation if their partner attempts to leave the relationship, playing on their empathy and fear of being responsible for a tragic outcome. They frequently employ guilt trips, constantly reminding the victim of perceived sacrifices they have made, or implying that the victim is selfish, ungrateful, or uncaring if they don't comply with their wishes. The use of silent treatment or the withdrawal of affection serves as a powerful tool to punish non-compliance, exploiting the victim's desire for connection and approval. By creating a sense of emotional isolation, the narcissist pressures the victim to conform to their demands to restore the connection. Furthermore, narcissists often exploit the victim's insecurities and vulnerabilities, threatening to reveal personal secrets, spread rumors, or undermine their self-esteem if they don't get their way. They might also leverage the victim's desire for their approval, constantly dangling the prospect of praise or affection as a reward for compliance, and withdrawing it as punishment for defiance. The underlying message in all forms of emotional blackmail is consistent. The narcissist's needs and desires take precedence over the victim's, and the victim will face negative emotional consequences if they fail to prioritize the narcissist's demands. To effectively resist the coercive power of emotional blackmail, the first crucial step is to identify your own vulnerabilities and the specific tactics the narcissist employs against you. Recognize the emotional triggers, fear of abandonment, guilt, desire for approval that the narcissist expertly manipulates. Begin to notice the patterns of threats, guilt, tripping, silent treatment, and exploitation of your insecurities. Once you become aware of these tactics, you can start to create emotional distance and avoid reacting impulsively. Learn to assertively say no without feeling overwhelmed by guilt or a sense of responsibility for the narcissist's emotional state. Understand that you are not responsible for managing their feelings or preventing their negative reactions. Establish clear and firm boundaries and enforce them consistently. Communicate your limits and the consequences of crossing them, and be prepared to follow through. It is essential to recognize that the narcissist's threats are often empty manipulations designed to control you. While they may express intense emotions or make dire pronouncements, they are often calculated attempts to elicit a desired response. Seek support from trusted friends, family members, or a therapist who can provide an objective perspective and help you build your self-esteem and resilience against emotional manipulation. Talking through these situations with someone who understands can provide validation and strategies for coping. Remember, your emotional well-being is paramount. You have the right to prioritize your own needs and make choices that are in your best interest, even if it means disappointing the narcissist or facing their displeasure. Breaking free from emotional blackmail requires courage, self-awareness, and a commitment to your own emotional autonomy. In conclusion, the control tactics employed by narcissists, the insidious erosion of reality through gaslighting, the strategic manipulation of relational dynamics via triangulation, and the coercive leveraging of emotions through emotional blackmail form a complex and often devastating web of manipulation. Recognizing these tactics is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a critical act of self-defense. By cultivating self-awareness, learning to trust your own perceptions, refusing to participate in manipulative games, establishing and maintaining firm boundaries, and prioritizing your own emotional well-being, you can begin to dismantle the narcissist's control and reclaim your autonomy. Remember that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, empathy, and open communication, not on manipulation and control. Learning to identify and resist these insidious tricks is a vital step towards fostering healthier connections and ultimately living a life free from the debilitating shadow of narcissistic control. The journey towards breaking free may be challenging, but the reward, a life lived authentically and on your own terms, is immeasurable.